I nursed my husband through chemotherapy, emptied my savings, even sold my car to pay for his treatments. When he got better, he started coming home late. One night, he didn't come home at all. The next morning, I found a bag on the porch with my name on it. Inside was a divorce notice, a necklace I bought him, and a note. You were great support. But I'm done with the sick version of me. I've moved on. I sat on the steps as his sister pulled up, smiling, and said, "He's with her now. Be happy for him." I looked at her and said nothing, because I had one thing left they didn't know about. I live in a small, quiet town outside Peoria, Illinois, Mapleton. You probably wouldn't know it unless you've driven through to get gas or visit the Caterpillar plant nearby. Nothing much here but a Dollar General, a couple diners, and streets where everyone waves even if they don't know your name. I used to like that. It made life feel stable, predictable, safe. That's probably why I fell for Andrew. We met at a local fundraising event for the animal shelter, nothing fancy. I was helping out with sign-in and he walked in with his sister, Lacey. Tall, decent-looking in a simple way, dressed like a man who knows how to fix things. He had this quiet confidence, like someone who didn't need to impress anyone. That hit me harder than I expected. Most guys around here talk too loud, drink too much, or are just waiting for someone to take care of them. But Andrew? He listened. We dated 6 months. Got married in under a year. I was 29. He was 31. Neither of us had much money. I worked as a secretary at the middle school and he did HVAC. We split rent on a 2-bedroom house his uncle owned, and we lived lean. I packed lunches, he did all the maintenance stuff, and we talked about kids like maybe someday if we could swing it. We were good. Then one day he called me from the doctor's office, his voice low. I remember I was sorting mail on my lunch break. "Can you come down here?" he said. That was the day everything changed. Stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. I didn't cry in the doctor's office. I held his hand and asked the right questions. But I cried in the car after. Hard. Ugly. And I remember thinking, this is what love means now. The next year was a blur of appointments, sickness, bills, and desperation. I quit my job after he collapsed in the shower one morning, and I realized I couldn't leave him alone anymore. We lost my income, then the savings. I sold my car first, a white Toyota Corolla I'd driven since college. Got $3,600 for it. That money lasted about 2 months once the out-of-pocket bills hit. I tried to keep him comfortable, made soup in bulk, wrote down every medication schedule, bought him those soft head wraps so he wouldn't get cold at night after he lost his hair. He hated how he looked. He hated how weak he felt. And I kept telling him, it's not forever. Just hang on. I didn't complain when we couldn't afford heat for a week in January. I walked a mile each way to the grocery store. I skipped meals sometimes. I even pawned the little jewelry I had left. I didn't care. I was keeping him alive. When the doctor finally said remission, I couldn't stop shaking. We came home, and I made him grilled cheese and tomato soup. I lit a candle. We sat in our pajamas and watched some stupid action movie. I remember thinking, we made it. We really made it. But I was wrong. He got stronger physically. But something in him turned cold. Distant. He started going out more. At first it was, I need to reconnect with the guys. I understood. I wanted him to feel normal again. But the phone never left his hand. He started taking it into the bathroom, the shower. He'd smile at texts and then lock the screen. I tried to be patient. One night I asked, everything okay with us? He shrugged. Fine. But it felt like something died in that pause between the question and his answer. Then came the night he didn't come home. I called his phone 6 times. Straight to voicemail. I barely slept. I kept picturing him in a ditch somewhere, or back in the ER. The next morning, just after 8, I heard a car pull into the driveway. It wasn't him. It was Lacey. She got out wearing sunglasses and holding a coffee like this was just another Tuesday. She walked up the steps, smiled, and handed me a brown paper bag. He's with her now, she said. Be happy for him.
Her. Who?
She smiled wider. He's finally moving forward. You were there when he needed you. But he's in a better place now. She said it like I was a phase. A helper. Something temporary. Inside the bag. Divorce papers. A necklace I bought Andrew when he finished his last round of chemo. It had a silver tag that said Survivor. And a handwritten note. You were great support. But I'm done with the sick version of me. I've moved on. I sat down on the porch steps. I didn't cry. Because I remembered something they didn't know. 6 months into treatment, I was drowning in debt. One of the hospital billing reps quietly suggested I talk to a financial protection lawyer. His name was Russell. Older guy. Knew every local law by heart. He listened to my story, looked at our financials, and said, "You have one option that's still above board. Transfer any and all assets into your name. Protect what little you have before the creditors come." I was reluctant. It felt sneaky. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "You're married. It's not sneaky. It's smart. You're doing this to save your household." So I did. The land Andrew inherited from his grandfather? In my name. The Ford F-150 he loved? Mine legally. The full set of Milwaukee tools in the garage? Also transferred. Andrew never noticed. He was too sick to care, and when he got better, he was too distracted. So when he left me, I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just waited. Let him think he won. Let him believe he walked away clean. 2 weeks later, I sold the truck. A guy from Dunlap paid in cash. The land went to a local developer who wanted to build storage units. I got more than I expected. The tools? Sold in bundles online. When everything cleared, I sent Andrew a letter. Not emotional. Just business. You moved on. So did I. Good luck rebuilding. I never heard from him again. But Lacey did text me. What the hell? Where's his truck? Where's the land? I didn't answer. I went out and bought myself a used sedan. Not new. Not flashy. Just mine. And I got my job back at the school. The necklace? I kept it. I keep it in my drawer, next to the documents that prove what's mine. It's not about revenge. Not exactly. It's about the fact that I carried him through hell. And when he tried to walk out like I was just a nurse he no longer needed, I reminded him I wasn't just the caretaker. I was the one who kept the house from burning down. And now that he's gone, the house is still standing. And I'm the one holding the keys. A few months after everything was finalized, I got a letter in the mail. Not typed. Handwritten. It was from Andrew's new girlfriend. Her name was May. I'd never heard of her before, but the letter said she and Andrew had known each other for years. She wrote that she understood how hard things must have been for me, but that Andrew deserved happiness now. She included a photo. A beach selfie. Him, smiling in sunglasses. Her, blonde, tan, much younger. They looked like tourists in a place that didn't know them yet. On the back of the photo, she wrote, "He's finally living, thanks to your support." I tore it up without thinking. Then I sat on my kitchen floor for almost an hour. I wasn't crying. I was trying to feel something. Anything. But it was just empty. I thought that would be the end of it. But then the calls started. The land deal. Apparently Andrew had been telling people he still owned it. He had promised May's brother a job managing some kind of warehouse, he said, he was building. I guess he never told her I'd sold it off. That it was gone. Her brother showed up at my door. "Is Andrew here?" he asked. I told him no, and asked why. He told me to meet him here. Said we'd be going over plans for the site. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. This house is mine. The land is sold. Whatever plans he told you about, he lied. He just stared at me. Then his face dropped, like something clicked. "Oh," he said. So, that's why he's been so pissed lately. That same week, Andrew called. First time since the divorce. "Did you have to screw me like that?" he snapped. "No," I said. "But I wanted to. You were supposed to be the bigger person." "No. I was supposed to be the wife. Until you decided you were done being sick." There was silence on the line. Then he said, "You're never going to let this go, are you?" I laughed once, short and sharp. I already did. You just didn't notice. Then I hung up. He texted after. I hope it was worth it. I didn't reply. But a week later, I found my front tire slashed. No note. No camera footy. Just 4 flats and a feeling in my gut. I didn't call the police. I didn't post about it. I just got the tires replaced. Paid cash. And I called Russell, the lawyer, again. Can I take legal action if this keeps up? He paused, then said, yes. But are you sure you want to stir it? I said, I won't strike first. But I'm not afraid of ending it. Because here's the thing. I'd spent years being quiet. Kind. Patient. I gave everything, and he walked away like I was just part of the past he didn't want to remember. But I'm not part of his past. I'm the one who made his future possible. And I'm not done yet. 3 weeks later, I got a subpoena. It was for small claims court. Andrew was suing me. The claim? Unlawful liquidation of marital assets. He said I tricked him while he was sick. Said I manipulated him into transferring the land, the truck, and his tools to me without mental clarity. I sat in my living room with the papers in my lap for almost an hour, just staring. Then I called Russell again. He was calm, not surprised. He's probably desperate, trying to get leverage. But everything was legal, I said. He signed it all. I had it notarized. He even acknowledged the transfers. Russell agreed. It won't hold, but it's going to be messy. And it was. At the court hearing, Andrew showed up wearing a suit he used to wear to weddings. He looked thinner, older, but angrier too. His girlfriend, May, came with him. She had on heels and carried a file folder like she was his assistant. I didn't bring anyone. Just walked in with my documents in a grocery store tote bag. Andrew told the judge I'd used his illness to take control, that I'd sold his things out from under him, that he had no idea what was really happening at the time. He kept saying my truck, my land, my tools. When it was my turn, I handed over the notarized paperwork. I showed copies of every transfer, the dated emails where he acknowledged receipt, and a letter from his own doctor clearing him mentally for work 3 weeks before the assets were transferred. The judge looked over everything, then said, Mr. Redden, from where I sit, it looks like you're not just grasping at straws. You're trying to rewrite history. Case dismissed. I walked out without looking back. But that wasn't the end. The next day, someone dumped a pile of roofing nails across my driveway. I had to have a tow truck come pull the car. All 4 tires ruined again. The guy from the garage said, someone really doesn't want you to drive. That's when I made the call to the sheriff's office. Not to file a report, but to install a camera. I didn't tell anyone. 2 nights later, it caught someone. Not Andrew. Lacey. She came at 3:14 a.m., wearing gloves and dragging something heavy from her trunk. A tire iron. She walked around my car twice before lifting it, and the video showed her trying to smash my rear window. She barely made a dent, but it was enough. I turned the footage in. She was arrested. Misdemeanor property damage. She posted bail that morning. I got a text from her that afternoon. You're tearing this family apart. I didn't reply, because they all made a mistake. They thought I was still the same woman who used to cook soup and hold vomit bags at 2 a.m. They thought I was still wearing worn-out shoes and smiling through hospital bills. But I'm not her anymore. I was quiet, not weak. And if they wanted to find out what quiet revenge looked like, I was happy to show them. After Lacey's arrest, I figured they'd leave me alone. But people in town started acting different. At the grocery store, I noticed side glances. Conversations would go quiet when I walked by. I went to grab coffee at the gas station, and the cashier, someone I'd known for years, barely said hello. Then someone slipped a flyer under my windshield, a black and white sheet of paper, printed from a home computer. At the top, it said, "Don't let her fool you." Below was a photo of me, my old school staff photo from the district website. Underneath, this woman exploited her husband's illness, took everything, and dumped him when he got better. Ask around. No name, no contact info, just the flyer. I crumpled it up. I found 2 more that week. One at the library, another on the school's bulletin board. I talked to the school principal, Mrs. Grant. She pulled me aside and said, "We're not accusing anyone of anything, but there's been concern in the community." I said, "Concern about what?" She looked away. "That maybe it's not appropriate for you to be working around kids right now." I felt the floor shift. So I said what I needed to. Everything I did was legal. It was survival. I'm not going to apologize for making it through something most people wouldn't even attempt. She didn't reply, just gave me a soft, tight smile and nodded.
I resigned that day.
I didn't need their pity or their silence. The next week, I took a short trip, just 2 days, out of state to visit my cousin in Indiana. I needed the break. While I was gone, someone broke into my house. They didn't steal anything, just trashed it, tore through drawers, dumped the kitchen cabinets, broke 2 picture frames, took the hard drive from my laptop. That was it. When the police came, the officer said, "Looks personal, not random. No fingerprints, no suspects, just mess." That night, I sat in my living room, staring at the empty space where my laptop used to sit. And I remembered something. Before I left, I'd moved a folder of documents, medical records, financial statements, transfer forms, off my hard drive and onto a USB stick. Something about the way things were going made me uneasy. The USB? It was in my wallet. Still there. I called Russell. "I want to know if I can file a restraining order," I said. He asked, "Against who?" "Andrew. Lacey.
May.
All of them." He paused. "It's unusual to name multiple people, but given the pattern, I have the video of Lacey. I have the flyers. I have the police report from the break-in." He said, "I think we can make a case." So we did. Temporary protective order filed. Court date set for a hearing. But before that could happen, I got one last visit. From May. She showed up on my front lawn early in the morning.
No knock.
Just standing there when I opened the curtains. She had a coffee in one hand, her phone in the other. I stepped outside. "Why are you here?"
I asked. She didn't yell.
She didn't threaten. She just looked tired. "I didn't know he was still married when we started," she said. "I didn't know what he told me was a lie." I didn't respond. "I know about the land," she continued. "About the truck. About the court. I know he's in debt now. I know he's angry." I crossed my arms. "Then why are you here?" "Because I found something," she said. "Something you should see." She handed me her phone. It was a video. A screen recording from a month ago. Andrew, drunk, sitting in their apartment, talking into the camera. "She took everything from me," he was saying. "But I'll get her back. I'll ruin her. No one will want to be around her when I'm done." He laughed. "She thinks she won, but I know where she keeps her backup drive. I know the back window's loose. I'll get in, get the dirt, and burn it all." May whispered, "He told me he just needed space." I didn't know he meant breaking into your house. I looked at her. "Why are you really showing me this?" "Because I left him last night," she said. "And I don't want to be part of his mess." Then she walked back to her car and drove away. I watched her until the taillights disappeared, because that was the moment I knew this wasn't over. It was just beginning. People still ask me how I stayed so calm, how I didn't fight back harder. But the truth is I did. Just not the way they expected. I let him burn his own bridges while I built something quieter, stronger. And every time someone tries to make me feel small for surviving, I just think about the night he left me that bag on the porch, thinking I'd sit there broken. He thought I was the story he got to walk away from. But he never realized he's the one who's been living in the ashes ever since.